and not knowing who's out there.
Yeah.
That's a lot of times that's what I'm doing after something happens.
Just talking to whoever's listening.
Yeah, like is Interstellar just sending a message. Maybe it'll make it. Maybe it'll make it to Earth. Maybe it won't. But
I
know,
just
it's out
started
there.
rewatching that again with my fiance a couple days ago, and we had to stop it halfway to fall asleep. So we're gonna finish it probably tonight. Honestly, she had never seen it.
Oh,
It's a
that's
great freaking movie.
oh my god! And I love how if you know how the soundtrack goes with the amount of time on the one planet and everything, it's really
nuts.
cool. And for how long it is to be able to watch or rewatch a movie that many times and still have it be that enjoyable goes to show just how I love that movie. Just
Same. And
everything.
for me, like I don't. For some reason, I can't remember movies and TV shows very well. Like that's one thing that just always it's in my brain and out of my brain pretty quickly. And but the good thing about that is I can rewatch the shows and movies that I loved the first time or the second time, and then I forget what happened to half of it. So it's like watching it for the first time almost.
Like 2 second Tom. Hi, I'm Tom, and it's just you get to relive the best movie ever over and over and over again.
Yeah, for real.
That's
Yeah.
that's gotta be cool with things.
It works out for sure. Like I rewatched Friday Night Lights a while back. The series Friday Night Lights, if anybody knows that one, and I've watched it like 7 times, and it never fails. I always forget what happens. I remember bits and pieces as it happens, but it's like, oh, I can't wait to watch the next episode because I don't really remember what goes on. So that makes it great. Survivor, we've been binge watching Survivor too, like old seasons, and
Oh, really?
I watched them before, and like, don't remember any of the people hardly, and even people from 2 or 3 seasons ago that we just watched. I'm like, who's that person? Oh, they won it. I didn't remember that, so it's fine.
Man, I was in college when that first came out, and I was taking night classes, and it was awesome because it was the first years of Survivor and Temptation Island.
Oh yeah.
And there was another show too that man, the professors would be like, "All right, we got to go," you know. Survivor's on, and I'm just like, okay.
Did you watch the challenge on MTV?
Not when it was going. I've seen episodes of it.
I never even heard of that show until like a year ago, and got really into that. But that's one that I was surprised I had never heard of it as long as it was on.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Oh, what was the one in there in the RV? And they just travel. Road Rules? Was it Road Rules?
I don't know. I don't know that one.
Yeah, I never really. I didn't watch a lot of. I didn't watch a lot of reality TV, like the Real World, like the first one, that dude Puck and everything. And I never. Hell, my cousin, she had her own reality TV show, and I don't even think I watched that. I just never.
I do want to sign up for Survivor one of these days.
Dude, it was Fear Factor.
Oh yeah.
Someone for some reason my cousin's husband couldn't do the show or wouldn't do it, and it was like a family episode, and they're like, Patrick will do it. He'll do anything. And I'm like, what? No. Like,
oh, you should have did that.
Like, I don't do bugs. I don't. Yeah. I'm like, no. That is not. I'm like, who? From my appearances at Thanksgiving, who came up with this? Like, what did have I done anything weird? Like.
I just need a couple minutes of screen time just to throw out and plug my new record, and then
right. Oh, it's dude, exactly. It's funny. Like I have country versus metal shirts, and every once in a while, my cousin, she goes on Joe Rogan's podcast. I'm like, I gotta get her a shirt. I was like, is that could be great. Like, hey, what's that shirt? I'm like, yes.
That's sick. Who's your cousin?
Eleanor Kerrigan. She's a comedian.
Okay.
She does Kill Tony every once in a while.
Oh, dude, I freaking love that show. That's like the greatest thing ever created. It's so good.
And it's like a podcast, right? Is that?
Yeah. So they do it live. It's a live podcast, and They do like the live bucket pools, so it's genuine, authentic reactions. Just random people off the street that signed up, and I mean, it's one of those deals that's so genuine, like you couldn't fake it and you couldn't write it, and it's so much off the cuff that I don't know, like it makes it hard to watch comedy shows and stuff like that that's scripted and written. Like it's so much better.
It just reminds me of the Gong Show, where you just would go out, you know, and stuff like that. Even and it reminds me of like Star Search and
What
stuff
was
like just
that? Star
it's
Search?
it's like older. It was like Ed McMahon. It was like older,
Okay.
kind of like America's Got Talent and all those shows.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, I have watched. I never listened to like a full episode, but I always watch the clips of it.
Have you ever come across like the clips of the people just bombing so bad that it's more funny than if they would have done good?
I've seen like two of them. I feel like I just don't really. I don't know. I'm weird. With the algorithm of how like if you watch something too long, especially because I want to stay in like the red dirt, Trenton Fletcher,
Yeah.
and like God forbid I'm like going to the bathroom and it's just playing something and I'm like I don't want to go down that. Like I'll have to like run over and find a music video, but
I feel
something
that.
like that.
I kind of I don't watch any of the TikToks on my For You page for that specific reason, which it doesn't necessarily help me. I'm kind of lost at this point in the algorithm on TikTok. I don't know how to like regain my footing with my content. Instagram, yeah, I don't know. I really just kind of only post on there. But Facebook, on my personal Facebook, is where if I'm going to watch any videos, that or YouTube Shorts, those are kind of in the weeds. And that's just a lot of like stand-up comedy is what that ends up being, and little skits, but fantasy football stuff. Kind of that's my three little guilty pleasures, I guess.
There you go. Yeah, mine's just guitars, stuff like that. I'll watch a guitar video, but it is weird when I'm like, man, I really want to watch this, but it bring me down some other direction because a lot of when they switched over and sold it, mine was like great. Especially I'd be like, oh man, they're dropping a new song, and then just today, like one of my buddies dropped a song on Friday, and I didn't even know about it. And normally I like to be on that and get that out there. But like for a while, like I was having issues with everything getting violated and muted and
oh yeah, the copywriting stuff.
yeah, and like I get it, but it's weird, you know, a lot of times it's the artists themselves asking me to do it, and it's just like I can't like copy and paste and just be like, look, I have permission, but I get it if the amount of messages and stuff, the paperwork or the emails they would have to go through would be just astronomical. But
oh yeah, it's a mess trying to figure that stuff out. I mean, it does it to my own stuff. I'll edit a video and add my own brand music in because I own the MP3s and the waves. You know, like I have them saved on a hard drive, and so I'll edit a video, I'll splice it in, and crop it and everything. Just put the sound how I want it, sync it up, and then I'll go to post it. And then half the time, especially meta stuff, Instagram and Facebook's really bad about it. TikTok, not so much. They kind of recognize it a lot, but they're so limited. Like TikTok limits me to 60 seconds, I think, of a song if you choose the sound from the app. So if it doesn't include the outside that 60 seconds, the part you wanted to sync up or add to your song, you have to do it with the file on another app. And I think that immediately kind of red flags it from the get-go. And Facebook will be like, well, you're using somebody's music licensing. Like, well, it's mine. And then you have to file a dispute, and it's just a pain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And there's ways around it, but who am I to like distort somebody's song just so I could get it out there? I would have to ask. And I hate chopping stuff up because there's so many cool guitar solos. And I know as a guitar player, especially with when your name's not Trenton Fletcher, but you're in the band and your contribution, you put all your
Into that
skill
part.
and writing, and then it's just like, what happened? And as a guitar player, I know I'd be like, come on, man.
Yeah. What kind of guitars did you play?
Uh,
What do you
I
like?
it's weird. I used to make fun of people for playing Telecasters, but I love Telecasters now.
Really?
Yeah, I went from having 0 to I got 4 now. Yeah, and I was a EMG active pickup guy, and then I have 8 strings, I have 7 strings. I'm a big I finally have like a true 3 single coil Strat that I finally got. I finally broke down, and
Hell yeah.
yeah, I'm a huge electric player. I can play acoustic, but you would just be like, oh, that guy plays guitar, compared to if I picked up an electric, you'd be like, oh, so that's what you do. Because like I don't other than doing like my 9 to 5 and TikTok. Other than that, it's just I play guitar. I'll just sit down. I don't know if you ever seen Metalocalypse, where it's this dude. It's Squizgar Squig Elf, and he's the fastest guitar player on the planet, and he just that's all I do. If I watch a movie,
That's what you're doing while you're watching a movie?
yeah, just doing. It's probably why a lot of my music isn't very musical. My phrasing is terrible, but I can play a box shape fast. But yeah,
Damn,
just
that's
to keep.
crazy.
Yeah, and then it's been a while since I've actually wrote anything. I need to get it. I've fumbled the ball so many times. Like Larry Joe Taylor asked me to play with him for Larry Joe Taylor Fest, and I was just like, dude, I want to do it. I want to do it. And then every one of my cars broke down. I was just like, man, I can't swing through. Being from Delaware is terrible. Trying to get down to Texas, unless you're like getting to Dallas is easy. Dallas, Fort Worth, and whatnot. But
Yeah, when it rains, it pours. It never fails.
yeah, it's.
Yeah.
But I was sick all that week too. It would have been bad. But yeah, like for a while, a lot of people were like, "Yeah, you gotta play on the stuff," and I'm like, "Dude, let's just do it." And that kind of slowed up because everybody that I was talking to then, they're like, because the whole sound is there's a whole procession of just the guys breaking through the brick wall, and just everybody else is coming, and it's really cool to see how your guys' sound is starting to catch on, because it's because from listening to it and then doing the channel, that was always like my end vision of
Really?
getting that out, because I have my own music, and you probably have never seen it, never heard it. Every once in a while when I'm alive, I'll play a couple stuff, or every once in a while I'll play with my guitar, or have the tab and teach people how to play Treaty Oak songs, stuff like that. But yeah, because I was sitting down, and like you hear Cross Canadian Ragweed, and then you hear 17, and I'm like, dude, like never have I ever been like, shit, that song's about me.
It does something to your DNA immediately.
Yeah, like I've never had like Tanner Ussery's Josephine. I was like, holy shit, Jesus! I never had my heart ripped out, and you thank the guy for it. I never had that experience.
Yeah.
It was different. It was, and then come find out that's everywhere in the genre of red dirt and Texas country.
Yeah, and like it's very interesting, like getting to travel all across the country, and we tour a lot with Josh Malloy, and they're good buddies of ours, and we've got the same booking, and known those dudes forever. But so obviously he pulls pretty huge crowds everywhere we go, and so we get the opportunity to open for all these people that have never heard of us. There might be 1 or 2 people that know one song, like when we play it, and they realize it clicks for them, like, oh, I know that song, but that's very, very seldom. And so, in my eyes, every time we get out on the road and we're playing for these kind of crowds like that, opening for somebody, 14, 20 hours from home, uh, there's kind of this high stakes, high reward, chip on our shoulder thing. Is like, okay, if we come out here and we just truly just let it rip and go hard and leave nothing on the table, it's going to leave an impression. And like it does, and it has, and it will continue to. It never fails. Like, no one knows this when we go out there, and then we'll sell out of t-shirts that night, and it's this rewarding feeling of like, okay, like we did something good, and it made sense, and people liked it, and so now like we know we're heading in the right directions. It's kind of affirming and validating what we're doing. But as good as all that is, really like the most validating thing is those kind of like intimate connections, like you kind of just described, like someone having a emotional response to something you did. And that's another thing that Jordan and I talked about before he passed was we kind of talked about our purpose in music a lot, and we talked about why we're doing what we're doing, and we both had different paths. Everybody has different paths into becoming a musician. A lot of times it stems from just thinking it's cool and wanting to figure out how to do it, and just one thing leads after another. But kind of where I'm at is, if we get out there and knowing that music has quite literally saved my life, throughout my life, and it's been there for me. Knowing the effect that music has had on me, if we can get out there and create something and do something that at least just one person, just one single person gets something out of and gives them a break from their shitty reality, or that might be the reason like they had a good day or had a good week, was like that was their break. That was the thing that they needed to get out and get off their chest, and just have a good time. Like if we accomplish that one person per show, like in my eyes, like that's all the validation I really need. Like, because knowing that that's what it did for me early on, and does all the time, not only is it me getting stuff off my chest, like, what I'm saying? It's kind of just like this ebbs and flow, like push and pull thing, like give and take. And like that's honestly the most rewarding thing at this point, I think. And I don't know, it's just cool to see something that I needed to write and get off my chest and put onto paper and put into a recording. Like it's weird that sometimes that's the thing someone else needed too.
Yeah, that relationship, and you know, it's for me because I did talk to other musicians from before. It was just like, yeah, how was your show? He was like, oh, I drove nails to the stage. It just, it just rocked it. Everyone's headbanging, everybody was the pit, and the wall of death and everything, and then you can go to talk to you and be like, how was your show last night? It's like, man, I had a bunch of people come up and tell me how much my music has helped them, saved their life, made a bad situation a good situation. It's the introspective of being able to listen to music and apply it to your own life it's been a very rewarding thing. It's been very rewarding also to talk to artists that is what they're going for, to help people. And man, when you find out you do it, it's a it goes both ways. And I just really find that like it's very interesting. It's it's like admirable.
Well, there's also kind of this element to it. I think that like I'm a firm believer in like your intention being put into things, and I think you kind of leave this you kind of embed like this frequency and vibration into things you create. Obviously like sound is frequency and vibration, and like I think that's kind of what vibes are, and like what people's, whatever you want to call it, their aura, their magnetic field, like all these things I think kind of interact. And I think whenever you're doing something like true and honest and real and genuine, and you're doing it with intention and purpose, like I think it just kind of doubles down time and time again on that and amplifies like the thing you're putting into it. And I think when you're doing that and you're just kind of like letting the walls down and just freely and openly just putting that out there, in the recording and live, I think people pick up on that. And obviously not everybody, it'd be nice if everybody did, but it does. I don't have any doubt that at least one person out there at every show is probably going to pick up what you're putting down, especially if you're attacking it like that from kind of an intentional perspective and point of view. And so that's just kind of how I like to think of it. And if I'm ever like in the middle of a song or middle of a set and I catch myself like thinking about other things or thinking about what I'm going to do later or thinking about the drive home, like to me, that's kind of a sobering wake up call. Like, okay, like you need to lock back in and double down on the intention you're putting into these notes you're singing and playing and like your stage presence, because all of that, whether people see it or not, I think they're going to absorb it. And if they're absorbing good, it's only going to have good effects. But if they're kind of absorbing like this, like negativity or sloppiness, like I think it may not lose its effect, but I think it's not as effective. And so that's not really new, but that's something I'm kind of always trying to figure out how to navigate and work into what we're doing. But yeah, it's fun to think of it that way. I think you're froze again. There we go.
Yeah, I lost him. It's got to be. Oh, no, that was actually my full internet because it happened over there too. My bad.
All good.
I paid the
I was
bill.
pretty much done with the thought right there. I mean, that was it's fun to think of it that way though.
Yeah, like you said, like when you're thinking, oh, the drive home and stuff like that, and I do believe that we're all human. I've been in a crowd, and when you see the guy look over to look at the time, you're like, oh.
Yeah. I guess we're froze again. It shows we're still recording. Reconnecting.
Still there? Dude, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Man, it's getting a little annoying.
Is it still showing my internet's good on my end?
Yeah, dude, I think it's me. I really think it's on my side, or it's on their server or something. I don't know. Normally they're nice. They give you a heads up, by the way, but I didn't get anything like that. But yeah, hopefully it doesn't happen. Because now I'm in my head.
Yeah.
Goddamn man.
Yeah, I just kind of I think doing everything musically with intention and thinking of it along those lines is what works for me. Because, I mean, like if you're up on stage, anybody that's played shows can relate. Like if you're paying attention, like who's vibing with you and who's paying attention. Who's there on a date. Who's there looking for girls. Who's there to get drunk. But like you can pick out the ones pretty easily, I think, that are paying attention and that are getting something that you're given. And like noticing those things right there definitely helped me stay in. Even if I didn't notice those people, like I'm going to do my best to stay locked in and give them everything I've got, because again, like the intention and what I'm putting into the song, I think people are going to pick up on. And but it does help whenever you see people paying attention. It helps you it's kind of this like symbiotic relationship between the fan and the artist. But I don't know. Frequency and vibration. I love that shit. Nikola Tesla.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's the entire reason I stayed at the New Yorker hotel, because that's where I used to live.
Oh yeah, that's the hotel where he died, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, with his what do you have, a pet pigeon or pigeons? You consider them nicer than people?
Yeah, Trump's uncle, I think, is the one that confiscated a lot of his like blueprints and stuff from his hotel room.
Huh.
Yeah, that's a wild rabbit hole.
Man, we were on like the 43rd floor. It was up there. And I just walked up to the window and I said, how crazy would it be if this window opened? And it opened all the way up. Had somebody pushed me, I would have went right out the window.
Oh, my stomach would be.
Oh, it was wild. Of course, you stick your head out and it's just like the wind and just the sound. I was
I'm
like,
good.
man. Yeah,
I don't have wings for a reason.
Yeah. It's right. Dylan Wheeler, when he was looking at the Ferris wheel, this body was built for the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that.
Man. Yeah. God, I hope that stops. But one of my favorite things of playing on stage, and especially with the fans and everything, but man, what was a really special moment is we were playing a festival and we were friends with the headliner band. But man, two of their band members came out of their bus and walked out front to watch us play. It was their guitar players, and I was like, dude, like they don't come out of the bus for anybody. And I was like, man, I gotta play my heart out, let them know like this is why we're here. And man, it was just, the typical arms crossed and but they were just like, and I just remember them smacking each other on the shoulder when I always would put in like pinch arms at certain parts to keep it a little metal. And they'd be like, as soon as I grab something with a trim and do the dime squeals, and, a lot of people there with their girlfriends, and they got the leather jackets on, and they see the, the Dean from Hell come out, and they're like, oh yeah. And he's like, but yeah, it is cool to have a relationship with the crowd, because some people are just hired. Some people are just hired. They're just there. They're listening for the next Nashville number, what chord to go to, what key, what scale should I be in, and it's more like a math class to them, other than
than what the song needs.
Yeah, like it.
Yeah.
If it don't sound good, bend it till it does, or just you know what I mean? Like I don't. As much as I like some of that fancy like prog rock where it's all super technical and everything, there's no fun sometimes. And I'm like, man, I want to have fun. I want to see, I want to see mistakes. I want to, I listened to the CD on the way here. I want to hear, because a lot of times, and their ears is like, and it's just very
on the quantized and on the click, and which is fine, but you can definitely tell, like you said, it's more of a math class sometimes with stuff like that than just a creation, I guess. I've been listening to a lot of Chris Cornell isolated vocals, and just like going through a lot of his records and listening to the ISO vocals and hearing like the breaths and kind of like some of the off notes that he corrects in real time that stayed in the recordings. And like the more, like the deeper I go into stuff like that, the more I become, I guess, like comfortable with making mistakes and not just like doing something wrong that is just wrong to be wrong, but like doing something so wrong that it ends up being right. And like sometimes that can be cool. Sometimes that's over the top, but I would say that like definitely some of the Chris Cornell stuff has really expanded my my process on like what I want a song to be and what I think a song should be, because it's not necessarily the thing you would lean or gravitate towards like the first or second try, I guess. But lost you again, reconnecting. I don't know if they can still hear me. There you are.
Yeah, it's hard, dude. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. But yeah, I've been way into trying to use some Soundgarden kind of vibes on some stuff and find a way to make Soundgarden Red Dirt, I guess. Not really, but that's probably one of my favorites of all time. Mr. Cornell.
Fantastic voice.
Dude, I'd give anything to have seen him live. Anything.
Yeah, I'd never seen him live. I'd probably. I don't even know if I really had the chance to, or no, I don't know. But yeah, I guess yeah, like My Gate and songs like that. And they came out, and the one thing about those guys when I was kind of reluctant is it was like guitar lessons aren't cool anymore. And I was like, okay, and because all that kind of went away, all those. And when it comes down to it, it's all just guitar gymnastics.
Yeah.
And oh, you can only tap with one finger. I can do it with all four, and it kind of gets you lose like. Man, you're not gonna get this. The arms, the hair on your arms is gonna stand up. Like granted, if you're playing 40 billion notes, you're gonna be like, wow, that's amazing. But then Stevie Ray Vaughan could come out and play 5.
Way cooler.
And it's just, it does something way more impactful than anything than just like sweet picking or not. When he puts all his entire body and spirit into anything he did on the guitar was amazing. And like there's a ton of guys out there that they may not be the most proficient, they may not be the fastest, they may not be the best, but every note has its place. Every piece of vibrato is a driving force behind what is going on in their mind. And it's, man, you just can't put that in somebody.
I would, super interesting, and that's the intentional thing too. I mean, that's, in my opinion, that's them at the highest level, probably just zoning as far in on a frequency level of what they're doing that it's just getting the maximum response emotionally from everybody that comes into contact with it.
Yeah, and it's just and those amps are on 33. It's amazing just back then of how loud everything was, and but it was all maybe a couple pedals, but now when you go to some shows, it's just not that it's different, but I kind of, it was weird because I used to be like, I want to be the fastest, I want to be the best at guitar, and then you kind of mature a little bit. You're like, no, I mean that shouldn't be what you're going for. And if that is what you're going for, that's cool if it's in your genre and whatnot. And it is an accomplishment if you just sat down and said, I want to play this song. And I get that. And I think the same maturity was needed for me that, to care about the lyrics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of cool riff songs that I like the riffs. I like the drums. I like the bass. I probably couldn't tell you what any of the words are, but like I love Metallica. But when you really look like Enter Sandman, like you look at the lyrics and you look at something like 17, you're like, come on, man. Like I have found that was a passion. And I just, as soon as I heard something like that, I was like, dude, I'm obsessed. And,
right.
Cody's still jamming on a PRS, I'm not losing any of the heaviness, but I'm getting, I always say the same thing. Like you can retain stories and change your life through music, which, and I get it. And I get a lot of people have like breakup songs, and I could see just listening to a song and getting shredded to pieces and rebuilt at the same time.
But also like on the opposite end of that spectrum of like writing the guitar parts and the music parts for the lyrics and like the song message, like I also kind of hit a wall where I felt like I needed to be able to back the lyrics down and let the music shine more in some cases. And so 99 times out of 100, like I'm writing the chord progression and the music first, right? And like everything kind of wraps around that. which is fine. I think that's how probably most songs in this genre are written. But I wanted to do something different on this new record. So the first track, "Lay It On Me," it's not the most complex lyrical song I've ever written. It's probably one of the least lyrical songs I've ever written. But I tried to, like, instead of being wordy, over wordy, and just overcomplicating this song, the music is kind of the focal point of that song. It's a great just driving bump bump, just kind of guitar riff that just kind of catches your attention right off the bat. And so that's why we made it track one, was because like the music, the guitar riff, the guitar part was the thing for that song, and then the lyrics are kind of secondary, and they're important, but they're not as important whenever there's songs later in the record that I want the lyrics to shine, because those can't. It's not a songwriter album. It's a full band Southern rock record. So I think we had to kind of divvy it up where we put our eggs in certain baskets, and kind of approached it that way. But as far as like the lyrics on that one aren't as complex as like what I try to hold a standard to. There still are like little cool subtle things in there, like the record's Tornado Alley, so there's kind of all this like thunderstorm and lightning and tornado references throughout there. And then there's even a buddy of mine that passed away in the music scene, Chad Solins from Oklahoma. He's got a song, "Couple Thousand Miles," and so in the second verse there's kind of this like wave gesture at him, where I say, "A couple thousand miles in a few more days, high beams cutting through the pouring rain." So like that's kind of a homage to one of his songs that went big like 20 years ago. And that's like another little thing that I wanted to put in there that I never thought anybody would notice, because the people that listen to Chad nowadays, like they're all for the most part older, and it's not like a younger crowd still listening to his stuff, I don't think. But that's another thing that I wanted to tie back to. If anybody ever asked, I can point my finger that way. And no shit, we recorded that song in the studio in Norman with Wes Sharon, and then the next day went and played the boys from Oklahoma deal in Stillwater. We played, I think it was Saturday night at the Tumbleweed. Played that song, "Lay It On Me," live for the first time ever after we recorded it. And there was a couple from Minnesota at the festival that had actually seen us play before in Minnesota, but didn't know we were playing at the Tumbleweed. And they just stumbled in and heard us play that song for the first time ever. And they came up to us after and was like, "We heard the Chad Solins reference in that song." And just blew my mind because, one, I thought it would take years before anybody, noticed it and wanted to like bring it up. I definitely didn't think it would be day one of playing the song to, a few hundred people. And so that was just, that thing just floored me. I was like, there's no way that this couple from Minnesota stumbled in and like caught exactly what I was trying to put in this song before we even released it. That was something that was pretty neat to me, though.
Dude, yeah, right? Because
Yeah,
like,
just
who
give me
expects something
chills,
like
man.
that?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
especially live, I if everything's slapping lyrics, ah. But I'm trying to think. I know a Chad Solins because of man, one of the early guys. He actually he does Sailing Creek leather. He put me on the Chad Solins.
oh yeah,
And when you realize it's like older, and you're just like, what? It's crazy how some of those older records they still hold up to today. It's
yeah.
just really really wild how that comes about. But man, it's really cool when you put an Easter egg out like that, and it comes right back to you when you
And they
fix it.
find it immediately after you hit it. Like it literally blew my mind. But that was another example of like you never know who's paying attention and like who's getting something out of what you're putting out there. And you know, who's to say like maybe if I would have like not put as much effort into enunciating that part right there and just kind of like sang through it instead of meaning it. Who's to say like they might not have caught the reference and they're from 1,100 miles away or whatever it is, and they caught it that night. And so it's just little stuff like that that kind of grounds me and reminds me to always just stay intentional with what I'm doing.
Now, will that be something you try to do going on? Because that is
Like the
kind
little
of,
Easter eggs like that.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
I always try to listen for them, and every once in a while I'll catch one, and it's always just it's like a you get to feel like you're in a club,
Yeah.
and if you're at the merch booth and someone comes up to you and says that, they listen to your music and pay attention, so it's kind of a
I'll,
cool.
I'll I'll throw another one out there that no one has actually. Okay, I'm gonna throw this out there now because I don't think I've talked about it on a podcast, but I've mentioned it live, and so I haven't had any repeat people from shows come up and talk about it, and I haven't had anybody that heard it immediately um, come and talk about it. So in our new record, there's a song called "Still Here," and for anybody that knows like my back catalog of music, I've got a song called "It Rains in Tulsa" too, and so that one is about an old flame like wanting to move off to Seattle, Washington. That's kind of the whole idea. That song is leaving Oklahoma behind because of the rain and the trees and everything. And I got through social feel like telling that story, introducing the song. So that was September of 2022 when I dropped that song, and like that's one that kind of got some momentum right off the bat. I think you might have even shared that song. I can't remember, but like that was one that made me start like really okay. I got to figure out how to continue moving forward with writing songs of this caliber and better and improving upon it. And it just made it kind of like put everything in perspective where I need to get more serious about this and figure it out on a deeper level. Well, on this new record, there's a song called "Still Here," and so it's kind of about the same idea, except the girl never left. Like there was this whole thing about like you're saying you're leaving, you're going on, you're moving on. Well, still here is like, well, you're still here. You're still in Tulsa. I bet it's been raining on you. I bet it's been pouring on you. And so there's kind of like little callbacks to that song from 4 years prior, 3 years prior. And like if anybody knew both songs by heart, like the words, they would catch it. But it's one of those things like it's a pretty deep dive to be able to tie those dots together, connect those dots, I guess. So I'll throw it out here on this, and so now I'll know if anybody comes up to me like they got it from this podcast and they can something to talk about the merch booth.
You're right.
Yeah, but I think about like Evan Felker and Turnpike has done such an incredible job of like creating this universe of characters and events, and all these things kind of interact and like I'm by no means doing anything close to that level, but there's so many layers to the records and so many layers to how they tie together, in my opinion. And I just think it's really cool. Like you can write a song, and then you can write in like these interconnected like timelines and storylines that tie them together. When there's nothing else in those songs really that you would figure that out from besides maybe one line. And I think that's super cool. So that's definitely something like I want to try to hide some Easter eggs in there going forward, and like just see how many little webs I can connect songs with to kind of give, I don't know, like a storyline, I guess.
I love that. It's like the Quentin Tarantino thing.
Yeah,
You're using the
yeah.
same, all the characters are interwebbed and these
Or
different
like
stories.
like Stan Lee in all the Marvel movies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah,
but,
yes. Stephen King was always good for that too.
yeah,
All the cameos. Yeah, that's interesting. That's it, and it gives. And when people know that, you'll be listening to your music different because now like you're getting all the great songs and everything, and you kind of have like a homework assignment too,
yeah. It's like how many ideas can you pull out of here and like convince me that they're tied together
right?
now? Yeah. Some of them I may not even realize, but if people find something like, huh, I didn't even know that was like, I didn't realize I did that, but
Oh,
that would be sick.
when you have somebody like put together such a crazy thing that works, you're just like, huh, I don't know if I should say yes.
Yeah. Hey, run with it, I guess,
Yeah, oh, definitely. Like, well, that's what you meant, right? Oh, I could have, but yeah, that's a cool way. that's a cool way to think and a cool way to write, especially in music, because it's very different. And also, a lot of people are very single driven nowadays, and that could is more of an incentive of when people know, like, oh, that song's kind of in reference to that, and you go listen to that, and then just to hear, because that's kind of like, you want your song to be a business card, and it's always nice when someone goes, oh, I love that song. And I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many times I've heard people go, man, that's a really cool song, and they just like, you didn't save it. Like, what are you, a madman? Like, yeah, it is a cool song. Save it. Like,
Right.
I'm like, how are you gonna let a cool moment like that get by? It's the consumerism is so different because
I wish
back.
Spotify did a thing where, and they may, I just may be ignorant and not know how to find this data, but I wish Spotify would tell you when you saved a song and
Mm,
like where, like kind of like this geotag of when and where you hit save to your library or your playlist on a song. And so like, say if you saved a song, you know, about a heartbreak or something, and you find it 3 or 4 years later, like what, like why is this song like feeling familiar? Like why did I like this song in the first place? You could see like, oh, 4 years ago, wherever you were living, like, oh, now I know why I saved this song. I was going through it at the time, and I don't know. I just think that'd be like a cool feature to be able to find, because I'm really bad about saving songs to my Spotify library and not organizing anything. And I just save them to the little heart playlist, and I'll just kind of scroll through there every so often. I'm like, dang, I don't even remember this song. What was I doing when I found that? Like, why did I like that song then? But
right. You could take a snapshot of your screen. That if you have it set up, if you have an iPhone,
oh yeah,
that would have
yeah.
your location where you were,
Oh man, I would never go through those pictures though.
right?
Yeah, I'm terrible about organizing my photos and videos and apps. Like I think I've
Same.
got 1,400 unread texts right now. Just like, and I had like 1,700, and I dropped my phone off a tractor and ran over it with a brush hog, and so then it went back to zero, and it's back up to 1,400 in the last, I don't know how long it's been, but
Mm.
I'll see it and I'll respond in my head, or I'll think I'll get back to them later, or I'll just won't check my phone until night, and I'm like, yeah, it's too late. I don't feel like scrolling and doing all that, and then next thing I know, like they're calling me like, hey, I was trying to get a hold of you.
Yeah, that's my life. I wish I had a story where I could say, "Oh man, the phone broke," but I I get weird. Like I'll see something, I'm like, man, I should say something. Then like it'll be another day, and it's like, oh well, now it's been a day. Now it's kind of
Lost cause.
yeah, right. It's like it's weird, especially with emails. I've missed a lot of emails, but when I do catch up with it, I feel like people with emails are kind of like, okay, it's not as short
Pressing.
form and
Yeah.
fast as a text and everything. Because
I respond quicker on email than I do on anything, honestly.
there you go.
Emails, because like there's, in my mind, like emails are always business and getting things done related. Like no one's
Mm,
gonna just like, yeah, like you said, short form, like casual conversation email. So I'm more prone to just reply an email immediately, and then I'll just like put off and put off and put off text, and next thing I know, it's overwhelming. I'm like, they'll call me.
now now watch your email red red number
Yeah,
just shoot like, oh no.
that's probably what's gonna happen. But
But yeah, oh yeah, before Jim from Boots and Whiskey, he told me to ask you about pyramids.
okay, so what do you know and what do you want to know?
I have no idea. I was like physical pyramids.
Okay,
Is
so
that what in reference to? I just was like, well, that's interesting.
so if I wasn't trying to pay my bills with music constantly, I would just dive headfirst into ancient architecture and archaeology and do nothing but study ancient civilizations like that. That is what I do when I'm not in music brain. Is like
Really?
I'm conspiracy or history brain, and it's more like ancient history, like ancient civilization type of stuff. And
Really?
that's what I honestly enjoy watching and learning about more than anything. Like I would rather do that than most things, and so like that's just constantly what I'm soaking up. And we're kind of at this point nowadays where the narrative of history that we've accepted for 140 years, like since the late 1800s, of what's been written about, say, the Great Pyramids in Egypt and stuff like that. Like we've had this same narrative and story of history that it's, oh, they're 4,500 years old. They were tombs for the pharaohs. I think I lost you again. I don't know if you can hear me whenever you freeze, but I'll let it reconnect. Okay, there you are. All right. So
Back. Sorry.
since like the late 1800s or so, we've kind of roughly had this same idea of history and the same narrative being pushed that, the pyramids are 4,500 years old or so, give or take a little bit. They were tombs for the pharaohs, this and that. We know exactly how they were built. We know when they were built. And that, growing up, that was all I learned about. That was all we were told. There was no real alternative ideas behind that stuff. And so, like, that's just kind of what you had to accept. And that's what everyone had to accept up until the last 5 or 10 years or so when it hit mainstream with some different ideas. But like that just always kind of didn't sit right with me. None of that felt like the 100% answer to any of it. So I've always kind of been curious. And now with just how fast information travels in social media, and with a lot of these archaeologists and historians kind of aging out, if you think about like someone building their entire career and their entire reputation off of an idea they had when they're younger, and they've lived their entire life pushing this idea and standing by it, and then along comes these alternative views that kind of like shoot holes through your entire argument. um, People are going to double down because they don't want to admit after their entire life they've been wrong, at least partly, about a lot of these things. And so there's this huge like collision of ideas, and it's pretty hostile, honestly, kind of in the archaeology and history world. Like it's pretty dog eat dog. It's kind of fun to watch sometimes. Like Rogan's had a lot of these debates on there, and I don't know. I really love that stuff. And just researching like Graham Hancock. I've got a bunch of Graham Hancock books.
Oh
I've
yeah,
got
Fingerprints of the Gods.
yeah. Oh my god, dude.
Supernatural.
I love that stuff.
Underworld.
And obviously, like you can't take it all verbatim, but I think it's like a good launch pad for alternative ideas. And then getting into guys like Randall Carlson and talking about the scab lands in the Pacific Northwest, and these massive floods that came through and ripped up the bedrock, and just like the Younger Dryas and all these impact theories, like whether or not it was caused by comets or eruptions or whatever. Like we did have a Younger Dryas event that caused mass extinction and threw us back into like another mini ice age that killed off all the megafauna. And so, like, regardless of how it happened, it did happen. And that's something that's just now being accepted by the mainstream. That was kind of pseudoscience for a long time. And we're all the time finding remnants of civilizations in the rainforest and South America and Africa and all these places. And it's like the timeline for humanity's history just keeps getting pushed further and further back, and it's becoming harder and harder for them to die on the hill that it was 4,500 years ago is when civilization started. Hard start. And like the pyramids, like that's what got me into this whole world of questioning the mainstream narratives. It was the pyramids. And I don't claim to have them figured out, but I will claim that they don't. So
Right. Yeah, I've read Fingerprints of the Gods a bunch of times, and his one where he he specifically learned how to scuba dive and to go deep sea diving and stuff like that. And I like all that stuff. Like I don't know, like Terrence McKenna.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. what is that? Food of the Gods, Appetite of the Gods. I forget what's the Stoned Ape Theory.
Yeah.
That's a wild book, and that Graham Hancock's Supernatural and all that. And I loved reading, even especially like with the whole thing with like DMT and Alfred Hoffman and all those. Yeah, I love reading all that kind of stuff too.
And that now they're like mapping the DMT realm, and they're coming back with all these like separate stories, but people detailing the same things in this DMT landscape. And I don't know. I mean, there's so much going on that I want to be on top of it all at all times. And there's just so much out there. And now with AI, it's just getting harder and harder to tell like who's actually like in the field doing this stuff or who's just copy and paste, like writing a prompt and just spilling bullshit, AI slop. I don't know, but yeah. So it's just at least promising to see the mainstream narratives at least being questioned, because if you just accept what is told to you your entire life and you never ask questions, you know, some of that stuff may be right, all of it may be right, but if you don't question it and ask questions yourself, and you know, encourage others to ask questions, like we're all just going to accept something that we don't know if is actually true or not.
Right. Yeah. So you've read The Spirit Molecule and all that, like.
I haven't read that, but I've you know, read some.
Yeah, it is interesting when you take modern day humans and you give them the same product, and they draw the same pictures as they did thousands of years in those caves. It's like,
oh,
it's interesting.
Like there's got to be something to it, you know, and it may be a huge thing, it may be a small thing, but it's something. Yeah, but it's cool to see like those kind of topics getting discussed. And yeah, like whenever I was growing up, I'm 28. I don't remember a time before, maybe like the last 6 or 7 years, that this was something that I saw, you know, every day online. It was just something I never came across and never saw anybody talking about. And just seeing how prevalent it is now, it's like, I don't know. It's almost like a trend that gets overused. So now it's so common. There's so much out there about it. It's kind of hard to sift through what's good and what's not. But at least it's being talked about.
Right. Yeah. For a very long time, I was kind of obsessed with it and everything. I got to go to Mexico, to go to Tulum to see the pyramids there, and they make these huge structures that for one day the sun's in that window and it casts a shadow or a light on something, and it's just, it's incredible. And they say like the one pyramid is like an accurate representation of the size of the northern hemisphere or something like that. And it's just so many.
Crazy. I think we're froze again.
It's probably just keeps getting more and more and more. So all the books I have are probably so outdated.
Yeah,
now.
There you are.
It's smooth fighting this, and it's definitely, it's got to be on my end. But dude, that's wild. As soon as you started talking, I was like, this dude read Fingerprint of the Gods with Quetzalcoatl and all that, and they talk about the giants and all
stuff,
foam of the sea, they called them, and how even when it goes down to religion and of how it's all, man, when you just read it and you're like, okay, am I becoming crazy, or am I reading something? Like, am I like in a club? It's a.
Am I? Oh, dang it, Rose again.
App. And just trying to figure out.
There are. Yeah. So, like you said, it's like, okay, I'm either in a club or I'm on a list. Is I think the distinction. Right. Like, so like they're marking you one way or another, and I don't know. Do you know the YouTube channel Uncharted X, Ben Van Kerchwick?
No, I don't really watch too much like channels on that kind of stuff.
Okay, so this is a guy. I think he's from New Zealand or Australia, somewhere down there. But he'll make these long format videos of just detailing like Hawara, or like some of these just like specific locations that have a lot of history, and or like the pyramid, the Sphinx. Like he has like long format videos, I guess, that are an hour to 2 hours long, and he dives in with all of his own footage. that he got there, and then he'll just deep dive like the scoop marks and the granite, or like these heat marks, or just kind of just brainstorm how these things may have been created. And like basically it's just shooting holes all through the mainstream narrative is what his videos end up doing. And it leaves you with more questions than answers because we don't have it figured out. But it definitely, I think, sheds some light that there's more that went on than just what we were told. And so his channel is something that's super dope that I cannot wait until he posts a new video all the time.
Is that like the go-to video when you're traveling that you go
Yeah,
watch?
that man, I'll get on random videos when I'm driving. I get burnout on music when I'm on the road. I can't just listen to music for 8 hours straight while I'm driving.
Mm.
Honestly, I'd rather drive in silence and just think. But I'll listen to like maybe part of a podcast or something, and I've gotten to where I just like I'll find a YouTube video and just throw it on. Um, like there for a weekend or two, we went up from Oklahoma to uh, Michigan and Chicago and stuff, and I think I listened to every history of like Scotland and Ireland mythology that I could find. Just like I got really into like Gaelic mythology for a couple weeks, kind of exhausted that, and then I'll go into like some more Roman history, or I'll go into just random stuff. But every night when I go to sleep, I find these sleep history videos that kind of talk about this stuff too, and I'll put it on a 20-minute timer. I never make it past 2 minutes, but I like to fall asleep to that stuff too.
That's great. Yeah, I recently I was talking to Casper McWade
Oh
a
yeah.
while ago, and he brought up reavers, and I never knew what a reaver was. And here they were just like outlaws stealing cattle and sleep all day, go out at night, and it just had like the whole blackmail is from them and everything. And I'm like, man, I was like going down this like rabbit hole. I'm like, man, and it just you can go down, you can go this way, you can go that way, and it is really cool. Of it, especially now, like because like when I was growing up, if you didn't have the Encyclopedia Britannica, you didn't know shit. Like you had to go to the library and go to the card catalog and blah blah blah, blah and just walking around, you write it down. And it's just like you just ask whatever AI, whatever on your phone, and like, boop, there you go,
Yeah.
instant. Just like man, it's
Which
just so much.
even like I mean, asking the AI stuff, like it's definitely helpful, but I find more often than not, it always wants to double down on the mainstream narrative of things. Like it's like whatever information it's trained on, it seems like Chat GPT will become partial to the 4,500 years, or like the tomb theory of the pyramids. Like it's so quick to call someone like Graham Hancock uh, like a white supremacist or something, and like okay, like it's just spoon feeding like these Reddit posts is all it's doing. Like none of this is based on facts and intellect. It's based on like whatever it was trained on, and so it's always going to call it pseudo history or pseudoscience. And so I don't know. I kind of get frustrated like trying to find stuff on Chat GPT. I'll end up going to like a random search engine like Yandex or something. It helps.
Yeah, that's oh man. Once you start going down them, it's definitely endless. It's
For me, it's like it's become such a part of like how I think about things and how I think about the world, and like it's one of those things like I have to get it out of my system daily, if not daily, every other day. Like I've got to at least spend a little bit of time in this world, just to get it out of my system, or else it just builds up and it's all I can think about. But I try to ground it all in logic at least, and stay unbiased, because like something that I do know is like, say, power, for example. Power corrupts, and whenever someone or some place obtains power, like they're not going to relinquish it willingly. It's either taken from them, stripped from them, or kind of reorganized to make it look like they no longer have the power. So I think of history in terms of like who's been in power, and the victors of history always write history, and so very very little are you getting of like the perspective of the whoever was on the opposing side, you know. And sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. But I just try to keep an open mind on those things and think like, okay, well, if we're being force fed this narrative today, you know, like how far do we have to go back to where we heard like the alternative perspective on this? And I don't know. I try to ground everything in kind of that logic of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it just comes down to okay, well, like who owns like whatever Google or you know. So if you're trying to find something on Google, you know, is it in their interest to withhold certain types of information from you? And so, in the modern day, that's censorship. But you know, 600 or 700 years ago, it was whatever reigning government or reigning power, you know, didn't want you to know at the time. And so, I think that's just human nature, and that's kind of how history operates over the course of time.
Absolutely. That's why I don't know if you ever heard of the People's History of the United States, Howard Zinn.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah,
Yeah, that's I really like that take on like reading history. Actually, like hearing it from a regular person, the people
yeah,
of something like that. But yeah, that's why I did not expect the pyramids. Yeah, that's funny. Well, like
well,
because like you said, like I don't know, it's like finding a treasure map. And
yeah,
you just the more you read, the more your mind can go. I can see that, and just for like you said, you've been taught everything a certain way. Have they got pictures, the other stories and stuff. It is a cool it is a cool thing. I just man, I let one of my friends borrow that book, and he got so mad. He's like, I've been lied to my whole life. And he's like, from everything. I'm like, okay, dude, calm. It's just a book. Just calm down. We can talk about it. If that you like the idea of how I present it to you, let's
yeah.
have a discourse. We're not
And
we're
like
not going
me,
to the
I've got
library and burn books, dude. Like, let's talk about this.
I've got to be careful because like I don't want to immediately um you know just take something as gospel that I find out that's a conflicting point of interest or point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I try to always be really careful about what I decide to believe at the end of my studies, I guess. And a lot of times I don't come to a conclusion at all. It just leads more questions than anything. And I think that's okay too. But it does get off in the weeds whenever you go searching for too much without kind of taking a step back to at least like figure out some of that. You can't just continue the journey and continue the journey and not turn around and reflect on like what you just went through. And so I think that's kind of why I go in phases of things. There's certain things like the pyramids in Egypt that like will always have my attention. Like these pillars and spirals they've just found underneath the Giza Plateau. Like, if I was not in America and playing music, I would be finding a way to like sneak into that pyramid and just like find out for myself. But that's not realistic monetarily at this point in my life. So this is what I'm doing. But yeah, it's fun. Like I said, like I got to get that stuff out. A lot of times, like I have to. It's become so ingrained with like my how I view the world and my worldview, and I don't know. I just have to.
And if anybody listening to this goes to a Trenton Fletcher show dressed as a pharaoh, that how great would that be? Like not even nowhere near October.
Oh, please, dude, please, somebody do it. I will have. We'll make a video, a TikTok video. We will make sure this gets out to the world. We'll have a debate at the merch booth. We'll talk history, whatever. Please come talk about the pyramids to me at the merch booth. I go sell my own merch after every single show. Nothing would make me happier than to talk about the Sphinx or something while we're watching whoever headline.
Sign my Graham Hancock book.
Oh my gosh, that would be so sick. Yeah, if you have a Graham Hancock book, bring it to my shows and I will sign it. And we're gonna take a picture and tag Graham in it every day until he at least like likes it or something.
And it takes a deep dive into your music.
Oh please, yeah, yeah.
Let me tell you the true story of Bill Dalton, Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I literally rewrote that song for like 3 years before it turned out how it turned out. I mean that song right there though, like that's another one that is just as true as could be. Bill Dalton was the oldest brother of the Doolin Dalton gang. I think he was the last one to die. He got gunned down in the middle of nowhere, a mile from my house down here in southern Oklahoma in the Arbuckle Mountains. And yeah, like there's a little marker in the woods, a little granite marker you can walk out. It talks about the marshals shooting him down in like I think it's 1892, literally on the deer lease that I hunt.
Huh. Yeah,
So that's one like I knew that was going to be a song before I ever even had a band. Like I knew I had to make that song at some point in my life.
It's wild. Like the story was kind of already written, but not the song.
And like what was crazier to me is I'm always really hard on myself lyrically. I always feel like I'm not doing a good enough job like telling the story that I have in my brain that I'm trying to get out. And so something like that, I knew like I was trying to put so many details cleverly into this song and just trying way too hard and it just wasn't working. There's no melody that I liked. And so I just stripped it all away. And kind of the way I wrote it, there's not even a chorus. There's like a bridge part, but there's 3 verses, no chorus. It's like the basic drop D kind of main riff that everybody knows. And I just stripped away all the detail that I put into it. I added back in as little as possible to like make it singable and catchy, but also just enough where like if anybody was genuinely curious or had any idea about any like Western Outlaw stuff, like they might either know what I'm referencing by the title and like the story, or that it might pique their interest and then, cause them to look into who Bill Dalton is. And so like I kind of took that perspective instead of just writing the story detailed, and it kind of just sets it out there and let people do with it as they will. And I always kind of intro that song to give a little bit of background. But yeah, that's another one that like I thought I was doing a terrible job at writing, and I was like, oh, this one doesn't even need all that. It just needs to like let it breathe and sprinkle in just enough details to tell a bit of the story.
Yeah, it definitely like a structure. Like I've been finding more with listening to Tom Petty, where like you don't notice it, but when somebody will point it out, you're like, oh, there's no chorus, no change in that. It's just kind of like how the music and the words just kind of flow. And
Yeah,
there'll be changes and everything, but you won't have like an abrupt, because it is, like it is kind of sometimes when you kind of can tell something just felt forced, especially like it's kind of like not, it just, sometimes I'll listen to like these new heavy metal guys and they just put a breakdown in because this song needed a breakdown and it doesn't fit. It's a cool riff. It just doesn't, it takes the momentum of the song and it's just like, you don't always need to do that. Like, I understand there's a formula, but yeah, sometimes less is more and it does flow. And, now if people hear that when they'll probably listen to it and go, I never noticed that. It
yeah,
does. It is cool. That's why I love talking to people, especially about their songs. And when you find out you've been listening to their music, not wrong, but like it in a normal way, and you're like, no, I did this, and that's why I did that, and you just come to think, and you re-listen to it, and you listen to it not like the right way, but you'll never. You just that's like telling someone that When Doves Cry by Prince has no bass line. And people go, what are you talking about? I'm like, your mind will put it in, but there is no bass line. And they listen to it and they're like, dude, I'll never be able to listen to it again. It's like,
I've never noticed that.
yeah, apparently there was one, but he took it out. And like, I didn't find this out myself. Someone told me that and I was like, what? And then you get in your car and there's no like rumble or the bass. I'm like, wow. I was like, man, I'll never never not
It's
hear that the same
crazy.
way.
I have to listen to that as soon as we get off this
Yeah,
this
I'm pretty.
interview.
And
Ball.
then,
That's crazy.
yeah, yeah, it's that song.
Damn. Yeah. Okay.
Watch me totally mess that up and people be like, yeah, no.
I'm like, man, I'm pretty sure I heard bass line.
Yeah. What
We'll see
there's a
if
bass
your brain
solo.
is creating one.
10 seconds in, there's a bass solo. They're like, what the hell was he talking about? But yeah, dude,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the time and we're like getting close to like 2 hours. Dude, like, did we get everything we had to talk about your music?
Oh yeah, dude. We got through the music and got to the fun stuff, the pyramids. So
Yeah,
that's all good.
that's funny. Like, I've never really ran into anybody organically that has read like those types of books because every once in a while, like my fingerprint it's at my work because you can just pick it up and read it, and no matter how many times you read it, you always find something else, and it's just an interesting read, and it's that thick. You'll be reading it for a while.
Yeah, God, those books are so good though, especially like the Graham Hancock stuff. I've been recently. I know we're getting pressed for time, but recently I've been. I go to like thrift shops and antique stores, and I'm just like, this is like another side quest I have. Apart from like trying to be a master YouTube historian and archaeologist, my other side quest is going to these thrift shops and just trying to find the oldest books that I can find and like make a collection out of them. And I've found like all kinds of 1890s like accounts of the San Francisco fires and earthquakes, and Oklahoma history books from like pre-statehood 1907, and like there's the holy grail for me is trying to find pre-Civil War books, and like that. This is a whole nother 2 hour conversation. Getting into like old world buildings is like another thing I'm really into, and architecture from like the Tartaria conspiracy and stuff like that. And a lot of it gets distorted, but regardless, like there's a lot of buildings all around the world that I think are older, just like the pyramids. Not as old, but I think are older than like the story that they're given, the date of birth that they're given. And a lot of times you'll find like these architects that designed a lot of these buildings at the exact same time. One, we can't recreate them. We can't really build anything that complex and beautiful anymore. But how was one architect designing and building 10 of these buildings across North America and Canada at the same exact time in like under 7 months and finished them all in the 1880s when there was like 3,000 people living where this building was made? Like a lot of that just starts to not make sense to me. And the more you start looking into the history of like individual buildings that are from kind of that era, it ends up being where like, okay, like this building was built here, but the only people living here was 5,000 gold miners. Like, why did they need this extravagant Capitol building and stuff like that? And I'm on the fence. Like, I don't really know what to think about that, but I think it's interesting. And so I'm just trying to find any like old journals and books from like pre-Civil War 1800s that I can. And so I'll just slide into random thrift shops when we're touring somewhere and just look at their collection of estate sale books.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. Fun conversation for the 20-hour rides home.
Yeah. And you're like, hey guys, did you know this?
It ends up being like it's what keeps me awake, but it's what puts them to sleep when we're driving through the night. So it works out for both parties. And
Trenton's thrift find stories.
Oh yeah, it's gold.
That's funny. Yeah, who would have thought? But,
It is what it is. It's just
yeah,
another side quest.
Yeah, there you go. I'm interested to see if something else will come up, like a year from now.
I'm sure there will be. I'll probably find a fork in the road at some rabbit hole and start hunting down other stuff and just stay in the hole. Yes.
But it's fun. It's finding old books, stuff like that, reading, expanding your mind. Keep you sharp, and hell, reading how people used to write back in the day is, wow, what a difference of how the literature has changed, and it's got to help ways that they just had more meaning with just different words.
Yeah, and like just it, even like recent stuff, like stuff from 30, 40 years ago, like poems, like you'll find that things are expressed in certain ways that no one. It's like slang. How slang changes, over the course of 5 or 10 years. Like all these new terms that kids are saying nowadays. Like it's hard to communicate ideas, and like they have a thing they're trying to say that we would also say, but they're saying it in a different way, and
Right.
there's this communication barrier. And so now, if you back up 100, 150 years, there would be a huge communication barrier. Or like, talking with somebody that's speaking English, but they're in London, they just say screw all the vowels and just say words that don't sound like real words, or trying to read calligraphy. It's like they don't teach cursive in schools anymore. And I was fortunate enough, like that was hardcore for us, was like we had to do everything in cursive in school, but trying to read cursive and calligraphy, like writing from the 1890s, is like I need a microscope to figure out what letters they're writing. And I don't know, but there's definitely like mind expanding ways to think about the English language from all those things, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I feel like this thing keeps glitching out, but I had a great time talking with you. 100%.
Dude, same. Thanks for having me on. It's good to finally get on here and have a convo and kick it for a little bit.
Yeah, hell yeah. Dude, it's funny. Man, I was when you said Josh Malloy, I don't know if my eyes are still dilated, but I had a retina tear in my eye, and today it's been a couple years, and the doctor was like, yeah, they can't pinpoint what happened, why your retina teared, why this, that, and this. And he's like, you ever get hit in the eye with anything? And I was at Texas. I was at Highway 30, the Texas, and Josh Malloy was playing. They got done playing. Here's this young kid right at the rail, and Devin comes out with the sticks, and I was like, "Oh, dude, it's gonna make this kid's night, his whole life." And Devin threw him at me and hit me right in the eye.
Oh,
And
man.
I'm telling the doctor, I was like, "Well, I was at a Josh Malloy show," and he's just like, "How hard?" I'm like, "It wasn't that hard." And he's like square in the eye. I'm like, "In the eye, doc."
Wow.
Which it's not that, but it was just funny. He's like, well, "Why do you throw him at you? Why didn't you catch him?" And I told him the story. I'm like, "Listen, dude, like I played baseball. I can catch something that Norton when I know it's coming at me, that just out of nowhere." Yeah. And it was funny because I had passes. I went backstage, and he was like, "Dude, I didn't know you weren't paying attention." And I'm like, "I thought you were throwing him to the kid." It was so funny, but
That's hilarious. I can't wait to ask him about that and bring it up next time I see him.
yeah, because like I was like, "Ooh, and yeah."
I'll bring it up Thursday. I'll see him at Camp Fry Thursday.
Yeah, he's like, did you throw a stick and hit the dude from Country Metal in the eye?
Like, dude, he still hates you over that.
I talked to him, and his eye, he just left. He just left the retina specialist. But yeah,
he's having problems years later.
Yeah, I can only read Malloy now.
Oh man, I cannot wait to see him Thursday.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll message me and I'll let him know. But it was hilarious. I had to laugh at it. I'm like, if you want me to have your sticks, look, you can play patty cake. You can handle them.
Right.
Oh, but yeah, but dude, it was great talking to you.
Absolutely, man. Had a blast. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, sorry that I imagine it's the server. The dude hit the pole and there was linemen up there. I don't know.
I'm sure you can do some splicing and editing on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not a lot. Hopefully it'll be like it never stops recording, so it'll be like one of us talking, like where'd you go over what I'm saying, and I'll just have probably a lot of muting, but it's all good. I've been doing it for a while. So, but yeah, man, dude, like I said, it's I hope they catch a show one day. I definitely would love to hear. Love to
Yeah,
hear
we'll
you
make
guys
it
on.
happen. We'll make it happen. I'll keep you in mind next time we get up that way. I'm sure we'll get some routing done, probably late summer, early fall up that way, and
Nice,
we'll give you a buzz and get you out to one.
nice, dude. That'd be awesome.
Sure.
But yeah, man, enjoy the rest of your night. And thanks for hopping on.
All right, brother. Likewise. Have a good one.